Welcome to the walkthrough of the Sealion 7 with the team here at Ebbett. Let's talk about accessing your BYD. So there are 3 ways to get into your vehicle. You have the key fob, where there's 4 buttons. The top button is your lock button. So give that a press and the vehicle locks. If you've turned your vehicle off and the windows are still down, you can press the lock button and it will close all the windows. Second button down is the unlock button. Give that 1 press and the vehicle unlocks. And you can also use the second button down if you want to crack the windows. So you just hold that second button down for a few seconds and the windows will come down. Third button down, you can press that twice and the tailgate will open. Likewise, a double click of the third button down will also close the tailgate. If your vehicle is locked, you can also hold down the 4th button and turn the vehicle on, which will allow your air conditioning to get the car to the right temperature before you get in. The second way of accessing the vehicle is using the NFC card, which you use to tap on the driver's side rearview mirror, which unlocks the vehicle. Likewise, tap again, and it will lock the vehicle. Third way of accessing the vehicle is if you've set up your phone as a digital key, where you'll tap your phone to the driver's side rearview mirror, and it will unlock the vehicle. You can also use the BYD app and tap the unlock button as you're walking towards the vehicle or leaving your house. So through the BYD app here, at the top you can see your vehicle. Here you can see how much percentage you've got left and the state of charge of the battery. Scrolling up, you've got these 4 icons here. So the first one is to unlock the vehicle, second one is to lock the vehicle, and the third one is to flash the lights, and the 4th is to beep the horn, which comes in handy if you've lost it in a busy car park. Scrolling up in this box here, you've got the aircon controls. So through here, you can plus and minus the temperature, and you can tap in here. Through here, you can even turn the vehicle on when you're not even near it. And this box here, you can control the heated and cooled seats. To the top, you've got the ventilation for the cooling seats, and here the heating for the heated seats. This icon here, you've got the vehicle position. So you tap that and you can see where the vehicle is and also how far you are away. You can schedule charging times. You can check the health of the vehicle, as in the tire pressures, the tire temperatures, and also the odometer reading. Through the services box, you can check where your closest service agent is and also book a service. If you need any help through roadside assistance, you can tap into the customer support box and call a roadside assistance. So through digital key, you can set up your phone to use as a key for the vehicle. And under here, under more functions, under vehicle authorization, you can share access to the vehicle with anyone else. If you've used your phone as a digital key or the NFC card to unlock the vehicle, you've got a certain amount of time for you to get in and start the car. Otherwise, if you're using the key fob, I find it easy just to put it in the cup holder. Otherwise, you can keep it in your pocket or your bag. To select the gear, you just put your foot down on the brake, pull the gear lever all the way backwards for drive, all the way forwards for reverse. Otherwise, you can hold in the center for neutral. And then the P button here is your park, and that also applies the handbrake. To turn the vehicle off, you just press the start-stop button here. Let's talk about seat controls. So you've got the control here, which controls the backrest. So you can either recline or incline. You've got the control here, which controls the bottom of the seat. So you can either move it forwards, backwards, upwards by pushing upwards, and you can control the angle here by just tilting this front part up or down. Then you've got the control here, which controls the leg support. So pushing it forward brings out the leg support here, or bringing it back. And then you've got your lumbar controls here. To adjust the position of the steering wheel, you've got a lever here in the center. Give that lever one pull down with your thumb, and you can either go up, down, out, or in. And then you just lock it in or whatever position you're comfortable with. Here you've got the driver's door controls. So you can tuck in the side mirrors. You can control the side mirrors here. So you just pick left or right and the light will come on, and then you can control the angle of the mirrors. Then you can lock the doors here. So that's your lock button, unlock button. You've got window controls here, and then the child lock for your windows. And here you find the door handle in a sleek design. So on the steering wheel on the right hand side, you've got the controls here at the top, which control your music or your radio station. So you can go backwards and forwards for your music or your radio station. And then you've got your volume scroll wheel here, or you can give it a push if you want to mute the audio. Down here, you've got the controls for your hands-free calling. So when you get an incoming call, you can either pick up or hang up over here. And the microphone button here activates the voice control. Otherwise, you can also press this here if you don't have an incoming call, and then that button will also act to change what you see on the screen over here. So you can either see what music you're playing, and you can see your navigation turn by turns. So on the speed limit, if you want to set a limit, long press this scroll wheel here, and that'll open your option, and here you can set a speed limit. And you can do an acceleration timer to see how fast you can go from 0 to 100. Then on the left hand side here, the adaptive cruise control buttons. So the button there, give that a press and it'll lock in the speed you're currently driving at. And then you can use this toggle switch here to adjust the speed. So push up and down and it'll go in increments of 5. Otherwise you can hold it and it'll go in increments of 1. And then because it's an adaptive cruise control, you can change your following distances. So press this button on the left to get closer to the vehicle in front before you start to brake, or the button on the right if you want to keep a safer distance before you brake. And then down here in the middle is your 360 camera button. So if you give that a push, you'll see the 360 camera come on the center screen. And on the left hand side here, you can give this a press to change what you see on the middle screen here. So if you want to look at your fuel economy, you can just keep giving that a press and it'll cycle through all your options. Your cumulative economy over the life of the vehicle, the tire pressures as well as tire temperatures. Then on the stalk on the right hand side, up and down will control the indicators. Otherwise there's a button on the tip here, so you give that a push to change the reading on the bottom right corner of the screen to show either odometer, trip A or trip B, and you can hold it down if you want to reset any of those trips. So you've got this white arrow here which points at what the function you want it to be. So all the way on 0 is off. Scroll up 1 and your lights will be on automatic. So that's automatic high beam, automatic dip beam. Bring it up if you want it to be on manual. So that's a position lamp. And that's your low beam. Give it a push forward if you want to activate the high beam. Push forward again to stop that. And then you've got your fog lights over here. Otherwise, when you're in automatic, the high beam and the dip beam will all do automatically anyway. Then you've got the stalk on the left hand side, which controls your wipers. You can push up 1 to get the wipers into auto mode. Another go will put it into low speed, and finally high speed at the top. Otherwise, from the bottom position, you can push down 1 for a quick wipe. And when you're in auto, you can toggle this center dial here to adjust the speed that you want the auto wipers to work in. And to squirt the washer fluid, just pull towards you. So over here in the top left of the screen, you've got the direction the vehicle's facing, the time, what drive mode you're in. Over here, you can see what lights are on, what the cruise control is set at, what the traffic sign recognition is, so the speed limit, your speedometer here. Here is your following distances for the cruise control, which gear you're in, so park, neutral, reverse or drive. Here you can see which level of braking regeneration you're in, the outside temperature. Down here you can see the battery of the vehicle, how many kilometers that you have left. Here you can see how much power is being used by the vehicle as you're driving, or when you're braking or going down a hill, you'll see a minus, and that's the amount of power being recharged back into the battery. And here's your trip meter or the odometer. So let's talk about the controls here on the center console. You've got the auto button here at the top, which activates the auto climate control. On and off button for your air conditioning. The button to control the front demister. You've got the start stop button for the vehicle. The toggle switch here, which changes your drive mode. As you're changing the drive mode, you'll see that the icons look different. You've got the checkered flag for sport, the snowflake for snow mode, the leaf for eco mode, and the car for normal. The gear lever here, your park brake. You've got the control here for your braking regeneration, and as you change the braking regeneration mode, you'll see that it will change here from standard to high. Scroll wheel here for the passenger to control the volume so they're not having to lean over you, otherwise you can push it to mute and it'll put the center screen into a screensaver. Then here you've got the button for the auto hold. So the auto hold is quite handy if you're taking a journey with a lot of stop starting like traffic lights. So when the auto hold is activated, it just means that anytime you come to a stop and your foot is down on the brake, the park brake automatically gets applied, so you can let go of the brake pedal, wait for the lights to turn green, and then you put your foot on the accelerator and off you go. And it'll keep doing that as long as that auto hold feature is turned on. The button to control your blind spot monitoring, and the button here for the hazard lights. Now let's talk about some controls at the top of the screen. So the top left here, you've got the notification icon, so you can tell if you've got a notification when there's a red dot. Over here are your controls for the air purification, so you can see the quality of the air inside the vehicle and outside the vehicle. Here you can access a quick menu to go into the connections. Over here you've got a control to connect to your Bluetooth devices, and tap that to get into your Wi-Fi. And here you can tap that to get into your radio. Then over here you can tap that to get into the speed limit, and at the top right you can activate the voice control. You can access a shortcut menu by swiping down from the top of the screen. So you've got your controls here for the brightness of the center screen or the instrument panel, and control your volume controls for your media or your navigation broadcast. Then over here in the center, you've got a box here for vehicle control. So you can drag and change just by moving across. And then you've got the second shortcut menu here as well, where you can do the same. Over here, you can adjust your themes and wallpapers. So tap that icon here and you can select your different themes as well as different wallpapers. And then this button here, you can change this screen to show navigation instead. So over here, along here at the bottom, you can swipe across. You can edit what widgets that you want to see along the bottom. So tap that there and you can choose to add a widget. And then you can also drag across if you want to change the position of it. You've got controls here if you want to lock the doors or control the trunk. And then your media center is over here. So tap this arrow down and you can go into your different media options and tap there to go into it. Then over along here at the bottom are controls regardless of what application you're in. So over here on the bottom left is the party trick, which is the screen rotating button. Tap that again to bring it back. And then over here you can split screen. So if you want to have something like navigation on the left hand side and have your phone or Spotify on the right hand side. Tap out of that. And then over here you've got access to your applications. You've got your front demister button. Controls to control the passenger side for the temperature, and controls to control the driver's side. Tap that here in the middle and that's your full AC menu. Then over here you can turn the fan on and off. That's your settings menu. This will bring you back to the home screen, so no matter what application you've got open, tap that and it'll bring you back to the home. And here brings you back to whatever app was open before. So if you've got a few different apps open, you can go back to the previous one. Let's go through how you can access more of your apps. So tap this icon here with the 4 squares. Cool one is the BYD store. So you can tap that and you've got access to some applications you can download. So currently there's things like a YouTube or a built-in browser, as well as a BYD arcade. So if you're sat charging for half an hour or so, you can keep yourself entertained. There are a number of apps that are already installed in your vehicle, such as the Spotify app or the karaoke app, as well as a built-in manual. Let's talk how to connect your phone. So the first thing you want to do is head into your Bluetooth settings on your phone, just so your phone becomes visible, and then pop into the settings menu here. So you can tap that to get into your quick Bluetooth menu. And over here you can see that my phone's nice and visible. Give that a tap. And on your phone you want to tap the pair. And then just follow all the prompts. Cool, so now my phone's connected to the Android Auto. To jump out of the Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you can just tap the home symbol here. And then to get back in, you've got the icon here. If your phone isn't compatible with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you can still connect to the Bluetooth and you'll still have access to hands-free calling and your Bluetooth music. To access the full air conditioning menu, tap on this icon here, the center bottom. And along the top, you've got fan only, whether you want the air to internally circulate or bring in fresh air. And then you've got this button here, which heats the rear window and your side mirrors. You've got this button here, which activates the front demister. If it's a really hot day, you can blast the inside with real cold air, as well as max out the fan speed to get it nice and cold quite quickly. You've got the AC on and off button here. And then you've got the auto button here, and that's to turn your fan on and off. Along the bottom here, you can swipe and change the fan speed. And then you've got the temperature controls here on the left and right. And over here, you can change where you want the air to blow from. So whether you want it just on your feet to blow in front or your front demister. Next, you've got your seat climate options. So tap on the vent heating here. And then you've got controls for the driver's side and the passenger side. And on a select model, you can also activate the heated seats for the back. The fan symbol here is to activate the ventilated seat. So you've got 2 options, which starts off at max. You can tap it again and it'll go to setting 1. We'll turn it off, and same for the heated seat. And over here you can access the air purification. Give that a tap so you can see the quality of the air on the outside and the inside. If you want to run a purification, you can tap the purification tab here and it'll start purifying the air that's coming through the vehicle. The easiest way I find to change the temperature, particularly as you're driving, is just by using the gesture with 3 fingers. So you can swipe anywhere on the screen, on any screen. It's 3 fingers up and down if you want to change the temperature, and 3 fingers left to right to control the fan speed. You can access the navigation by tapping here or set it as your desktop background through here. You tap up here to search. Otherwise, you can use your voice control as well. For example, hi BYD.
Yes?
Find the nearest charging station.
I found these. Which do you want?
1.
Sure, here is ChargeNet. Want to drive there?
Yes.
Okay, starting navigation.
Let's quickly talk about how you get into the media center. So if you tap on this icon here, you can see all your media options. So you can either go into FM, AM, go into your music that you've got on your phone through your Bluetooth music and tap there to go into it. In the media center here for radio, you can change your station here, manually tune over here, or change your music option over here on the right. So you can go backwards and forwards for your music or your radio station, and then you've got your volume scroll wheel here, or you can give it a push if you want to mute the audio. Scroll wheel here for the passenger to control the volume so they're not having to lean over you. Otherwise you can push it to mute and it'll put the center screen into a screensaver. Just press this button here in the center and that'll bring up your view. So you got the 360 view on the right and then your different camera views here on the left. So you can decide to either have the front view, back view, left, right, widescreen of the front, widescreen of the back, and then both sides. You can even go 3D by tapping this icon here and dragging your finger all around. When you're in reverse, the 360 camera will come on automatically anyway, and you can see your parking sensors. So when you get close, it'll start beeping. To activate the voice control, you can do that a number of ways. So you can either press the microphone button here on the steering wheel, you can press the voice control here at the top, or you can say the two words, which are "Hi BYD."
I'm here.
Set temperature to 21.
Got it. Setting the temperature to 21 degrees.
And then to cancel, just press the microphone button or say the word cancel. Another example would be to close the blind by saying "Hi BYD"
Hi there.
to open the blind.
The blind is open.
You've got the BYD Assistant app here, which is quite good to learn the language of the vehicle, which you can go here on the right hand side under voice skills. So these are all example commands you can use with the navigation. And you've got all these example commands that you can use to control the vehicle. Let's talk about how to access the settings menu. So you tap on the car symbol here. On the right hand side you've got your pages, and then each page has a tab menu. So in the systems menu you've got connection here at the top. So the top is your Bluetooth to connect to your phone. Then you've got the Wi-Fi option if you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, which will allow you to download over-the-air updates a lot quicker than over cellular data. Hotspot if you want to connect your phone to the car to use your phone as the hotspot to use YouTube or the built-in browser. And then under here you've got cellular data. So each of our BYDs come with 2 years worth of free data. You get 2 gigabytes per month for those 2 years, and they power things like the built-in Spotify app, the traffic updates for the navigation. The next tab you've got audio. You can choose where you'd like the audio to come from. So you can do it so it's throughout the whole vehicle, or if you want the speakers just directed at any particular seat, you can do it that way. You can also adjust the equalizer through the dyno audio sound. So you can choose the presets or do a custom. Here you can adjust the volume if you want it to be adjusted with the speed that you're driving. Slide that to adjust your media volume, your phone volume, your ringtone volume, and the voice volume. Then you've got display, so you can change the brightness of this center screen, as well as change what you'd like as the screensaver. So you can either have it as clock 1, clock 2, clock 3, or off. The adaptive brightness will change the brightness depending on the ambient lighting on the outside. And then you can change it from being a dark mode, light mode, or auto. So in auto, when the headlights come on at night time, you'll automatically be put into dark mode. Then when outside gets light, then it would be light mode again. And then here you can adjust what you want your desktop to be. Then you've got version, page to do your software updates. So whenever you've got an over-the-air update that's due, you'll be able to access it through this screen here. And you can refer to the owner's manual for these other options. The next tab is system. So over here you can set automatic time sync. So if there's any daylight savings time, the time will change automatically. And then down here you can change the time format, whether you want it to display in 24-hour, or 12 hour. You can adjust the languages here, so if English isn't your first language and you'd like to change the language, there are numerous language packs in the vehicle. You can change the keyboard, so whether you want it as the default Android or the Kika keyboard. Memory playback is where if you've stopped the car and you jump back in, the car will try and remember where your music was left off from. The unit settings, you can choose to change your various units. So if instead of kilometers, you can change it to miles. For your tire pressures, you can change, and your temperatures as well. And if you like to access all the fine print, you can find that here under your user agreements, privacy agreements, and the open source declaration. And then finally, you have apps, which is similar to your phone, where you can see what apps you've got, how much storage they're taking up, but also where you can set what permissions that you want those apps to use. In the next page here, you have ADAS, which is the Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. On the first tab here, you've got Driving Assist, which is the automatic steering when you're in cruise control. So if you'd prefer to steer yourself when you turn the cruise control on, you can disable this feature here. In the next tab are all your various safety assistances, where you've got things like emergency lane keep assist. If you'd like to know more information about what each one is, you can tap on the eye here and it'll give you a description. One feature that I'd like to point out is the lane departure assist, where you've got a few different options. You can either have warning, where it will either make a beep, a vibration in the steering wheel, or do both. Otherwise, you can have it on prevention, where if you do exit the lane, the vehicle will steer you back in. You can have it on both, where it will warn you and do prevention, or have it turned off. When you do turn it off, please note that it will turn back on every ignition cycle. Another one worth pointing out is the traffic sign recognition, where as soon as you pass through a road sign, the camera will pick it up and you'll see it displayed on your driver's screen. So you can either choose to keep that turned on, which is quite helpful, or turn it off here. And parking assist. And this is another place where you can access your cameras or turn your parking sensors on and off. And on the next page, you have energy. Along the top, you've got Energy Manager, where you can also select whether you want the braking regeneration to be standard or high, and whether you want the range display mode to be standard, which gives you the same range every time that you charge the vehicle. Otherwise dynamic, where over time the car will learn how you drive so that the range at 100% will be more accurate. The next tab, you've got charging and discharging. So your top option here is where you can set your charging schedules. To do that, you just tap this icon here to turn it on. Tap into here to edit, and then you can choose when you want the vehicle to start charging and when you want it to stop charging, or otherwise you can set it so that once it hits 100% then it'll stop. And down here you can choose whether you want it on particular days or just one day. And this is particularly helpful to make use of off-peak hours or 3 hours of power. Down here you can set the limit that you want the vehicle to charge from, otherwise by default it's set to max. And then you've got the charging port immobilizer system, which keeps your charging port locked in. Particularly useful if you charge from home and you're worried about someone pulling their cable out. And finally, you've got energy consumption, where you can see over time what kind of economy you're getting. And then you can choose this, tap that to clear data. Then the next page you have vehicle, where along the top you've got the intelligent chassis, where you can choose the steering assist mode. So by default it's in comfort, which is a nice soft steering. Otherwise, if you want the steering to be a bit tighter, you can select sport, and then same with the brake assist mode. And at the bottom here you've got comfort parking, which means that when you're braking at slower speeds, it's a more gentle brake rather than a nosedive. And the next tab at the top is the light, where at the top here you control the ambient lighting. Here you have this screen where you can control the ambient lighting. So along the left here, you can choose to control the whole vehicle, the front of the vehicle or the rear. So if you want to set a separate light color for the front, you can tap a light there and also do the same for the back. Otherwise you can sync them all up by going whole. And at the top here, you can change how bright that you want those lights to be. Then along dynamic colors, you can select that if you want it to go through different themes. So you've got sea and stars, which are variants of blues, tropical, and then the whole color spectrum. And then you've also got rhythm if you want it to pulse with your music. You can adjust the level of the headlights, which is particularly useful when you're towing and you've got a heavy load. You can adjust the light so it's not blinding the drivers coming your way. You can choose to adjust the time that the headlights stay on after you exit the vehicle and the time that the headlights stay on before you enter the vehicle. Down here you can preview the settings that you've just made up here, and then here you can control the courtesy light. The Intelligency courtesy light illuminates your side mirrors and the headlights when approaching the vehicle. Then you have comfort driving. You've got the option to turn the auto wiper on and off here. The automatic driver's seat, which is the courtesy seating, which makes the seat move backwards when you open the door to get inside. You've got auto fold for your wing mirrors when you lock the vehicle, and the tilt while reversing. So when you put the vehicle in reverse, the side mirrors will tilt down. Then you have HUD, or the heads-up display. So at the top here, you can turn the heads-up display on and off. Here you can control the height of the heads-up display, the brightness, and the angle. And then you can choose to have it in classic, which is in a white display, or snow, which is a blue display on the heads-up display. And then down here is optional content, so you can have your ADAS, which will show you things like your cruise control, and navigation, which will show you things like turn by turn in your heads-up display. Then it's the instrument menu. So at the top here, you can adjust the brightness of the driver's screen. Under instrument navigation display, you can choose whether you want the navigation to be shown on your driver's screen. So you can either have it off, have it as a simple turn by turn, have it as a small box, or have it cover your whole driver's screen. Then here you can have your choose, so same as the button on the indicator stalk at the tip, you can change what you see on the bottom right hand corner of the driver's screen. Then you have AC, so you can either have it in comfort, which is at max settings, or eco if you want to preserve the battery. Here you can choose how long that you want the AC to run when you've started it using your key, and whether you want the automatic purification turned on, which means that when the car detects that the air quality inside the vehicle is poor, it will run an automatic purification. With the auto internal circulation upon parking, when that's enabled, it just means that when you're pulling up to a traffic light or when you're driving slow or parking, the fan will turn into an auto internal circulation. This will reduce the amount of exhaust fumes coming from external vehicles into the car. And then down at the bottom is if you want the fan speed to automatically reduce when you get in a call. Then you have seats. So here you can adjust the seat adjustment, where the driver's seat has 2 position settings. So once you've set your position, you just hold down the button and then it will lock that in place, and you can do that with 2 different positions here. Once you've changed the position, so if driver number 2 wants to get into the vehicle, they just tap on their one and it will adjust it to wherever that seat was set at. Then down here you've got another way to access your heating and ventilation for your seats. And then the next tab you have locks. So at the top here you can adjust the height of what you want your tailgate to open to, which is useful if you've got a low garage and you don't want the tailgate to collide with the roof. And then with the handle auto fold, you can set the time at which you want the door handles to fold in while the vehicle's sitting unlocked. Then under here, under remote unlock, you can choose whether when you press the unlock button, whether you want just the driver's door to open and keep all the other doors locked, or by default have them all open at the same time. Coming down here, you can choose what you want the key buttons to do, whether you want the long press to lock and close the windows, long press on the key fob to unlock and open the windows. And then you have a couple more options at the bottom here to long press the micro switch to lock and close the windows and to unlock and open the windows. Then a few more options here at the bottom. You can have the windows to auto close when it's raining, have the windows auto close after locking the vehicle, and have them auto close at high speeds. At the bottom here, you've got a couple of options for the auto power on, which means when that option is selected, when you unlock the vehicle and sit inside, the vehicle will automatically turn on. And the power off means that when you exit the driver's seat, the vehicle would turn off. And then after that, you have notifications, where you've got the option to toggle on and off your safety alert broadcasts. And under the next tab here at the bottom, you can see what the broadcasts are and whether you want to turn any of those on and off. For example, whether you want to be alerted when your seatbelt's unfastened or that the headlights need to be turned on. Coming down, you can select the volume of the broadcast, noise of the broadcast, whether you want the volume to decrease when you're navigating. This tab here just takes you into the voice assistant settings. And along here at the bottom is the haptic feedback button. So when that's turned on, you just get a clicking noise every time you tap on a tab. And then finally you have cabin perception, which is where you can turn on and off the driver's monitoring system, which is the camera on the A-pillar. So if you'd prefer that not to be on, you can turn that off, but just bear in mind it will turn back on every ignition cycle. And here you can adjust when that feature is turned on, whether you want to turn off the warning when tiredness is detected, or the warning when the vehicle believes that you're distracted as you're driving. And along here at the bottom, you can turn on and off the child presence detection, which is an alarm that will go off when you exit the vehicle and movement is detected inside the car. And at the last page, you have service. And along the top here, you've got intelligent maintenance. So in the service tab here, you can turn on the alerts for the maintenance interval, where there's a countdown timer. So when you get close to the time or the Ks, you'll get an alert on the driver's screen telling you that the car needs to be booked in for a service. You've got overhaul, which is where you can get the wipers into a position that you can lift them and clean underneath. It's worth noting that to press that, you've got to have your wipers in an off position and off auto. And for the EPB trailer mode, you can refer to the manual here. You can access your manual here or through the app screen. And along the side here, you've got your various chapters where you can access anything that you'd like to see, or even a search button here. And then you have vehicle info, when the car can run a check to see if there's any errors. Over here on the left, you have a wireless charging pad, so 50-watt charger, as well as an vent here to keep your phone cool as you're charging. And on the right-hand side is where you can place your NFC card. And then you've got cup holders here. If you have a long bottle, you can push the bottle down, and then to bring it back up, just hold the button here. Then underneath, you've got access to some USB ports. So you've got a USB-C port on the left, USB-A port on the right, and a 12-volt charger, and also a handy compartment you can store any bags. Then you've also got a storage compartment here in the center. Along the top, you have the sun visors, which you can pull down, as well as a vanity mirror with a light, which you can access by bringing this tab down here. Then along the middle here, you've got controls for the lights, which are again tap-based, and then controls here to open and close the blind. So just one tap, you can open the blind. Otherwise, if you want to stop it halfway, you just tap again. And you can bring it back. Otherwise, you can use your voice by saying, "Hi BYD,"
Hi there.
to open the blind.
The blind is open.
The back seats here, you have ISOFIX points on the two outboard seats and an anchor point on the back that you can access by pulling the tab here, which will lower the seats, and you've got your anchor point here. Bring this seats back up. You've also got a cup holder here in the middle compartment, so pull that down. Here you've got access to two cup holders and also a hidden storage compartment inside here. There's vent controls at the top here, charging for the USB, and on select models you've also got heating on the back seats and some storage pockets here. You also have these reading lights here that you can control just by tapping. Let's talk about charging your Sealion 7. So to access the charging flap, first unlock the vehicle, and then you can give it a prod and the flap will open. And so at the top here, you have the Type 2 or AC charging, which you'll do at home. And then for any fast, high-speed charging, remove the flap for the bottom and you have access to the CCS2 port. So if you're charging from home using the Type 2, just plug it in, and the vehicle will lock the charging port in place and start charging. You'll see a flashing yellow light here while the charging is initializing. This green here would be flashing while charging, or solid green when finished. And if there's a red light, it will show that there's a power failure or an error with the power supply. Then to remove it, press the unlock button, which will unlock the charging port, and then you pull it out. Let's talk about the boot on the Sealion 7. So there's 4 ways to access the boot. The first one is using the key fob, where you double tap the third button down. The second way is using the button, which is located at the center here. The third way is using the kick to open feature. And the fourth way is using the button on the driver's door. So pull to open. Likewise, you can use the same ways to close. So double tap, third button down will close the tailgate. Otherwise, you have 2 buttons here. The button here on the left will close the boot, and the button on the right will close and lock all the doors at the same time. And you can also kick to close and use the button on the driver's door. Hold to close. Here inside the boot, you have some storage here on the side. Speakers and a subwoofer. You've got tie-down points here. The anchor points for any car seats. And some storage here underneath. Here in this cubby hole here, you can store your charging cables if you don't want to store them in the frunk. And then underneath, you have a few more things. So you've got your tire puncher repair kit for any small punches, a high vis vest, and a reflective triangle hazard cone if you're stuck on the side of the road at night. The tow hook here for the breakdown guys to use. And here you have tweezers to pull off the protective caps over the wheel nuts. Here you have the vehicle to load adapter, which will allow you to use the Sealion 7 as a battery. So you plug this into the same port that you charge from, but instead of putting power in, it diverts power out. And you've got 2 plug sockets here where you can draw a maximum load of 2.4 kilowatts. So great if you go away camping, you can take your air fryer with you and cook your burgers and chips at the campsite. Or if you have a power outage at home, you can plug your laptops or your phones in and keep on the grid. Here by the accelerator pedal, you'll find the bonnet release and you give it 2 pulls. Here under the bonnet, you have the frunk, which offers 58 liters of storage, which you can use to carry your charging cables or even your takeaways if you don't want to smell up the cabin. And over here is the washer fluid reservoir, which you can just top up with washer fluid. And anything else, maintenance is quite low, and for any breakdowns, you've got roadside assistance. And that was the walkthrough of the Sealion 7. We hope you enjoy driving your BYD. From the team here at Ebbett, drive safe.